I'm joined by Ravi Kapoor, founder and CEO of Diya TV. Ravi, thank you for joining us today. What has been your reaction over the last 2-3 days to what we're experiencing here in Indianapolis with the FedEx shooting?
Well, obviously, it's heartbreaking anytime you hear of any shooting. And as we've been noting over the last couple of days, at times you get desensitized, especially if you're in our business. There are so many shootings that take place on a day-to-day basis. But certainly when we heard that the impact was not just a run-of-the-mill situation, but it happened at a FedEx facility, and there were 4 Indian Americans who also are Sikh involved. Certainly the Indian American community all over the country, all over the world have been impacted.
That's a community that many might not realize is actually very prominent in Indiana. Am I right?
That's right. We're fortunate to broadcast in Indianapolis now on Wish TV, and we learned a couple of years ago that the second largest immigrant group in Indiana are the Indian American community. So we're very pleased that we have a presence there, but obviously it's a very close-knit group. And so when something like this happens, it's devastating.
Yeah, Diya TV supporting Indian Americans, and it is on one of our sub-channels here at Wish. We are really proud to partner with you. As we move forward from this shooting, what's the best way to support the Sikh community and what they're dealing with, especially if we aren't a member of that community?
Well, the best part about the Sikh community is that they're very inclusive, very warm-hearted people. I myself have grown up around a very diverse community. And again, like so many immigrants, they want to be involved. And sometimes they stay to their churches and they get involved in their own insular community. But I think if there's any kind of outreach, and again, some of the reporting that I've seen that Wish has done has been phenomenal, going into the Gurdwara, talking to the folks impacted. I mean, that's all it takes, taking interest, because the Gurdwara has an amazing tradition of having people from all walks of life come on in, have a meal, get to know the customs, the culture. And this is true broadly the Indian American community. We've had a huge influx in immigration over the last 20, 25 years. But when someone like myself was growing up, it was a really small community, just a handful of families. So because there's such an influx of folks, they want to make sure that they're part of the American experience and explain what they're all about to everyone.
Ravi, I know you have a lot of experience in the journalism world, the TV world, now as an owner. What stands out to you with the FedEx tragedy and what you've seen about what's happened there?
Well, I think first of all, I think most folks weren't even aware that there was a significant Punjabi community in Indianapolis. And again, this is data that I've been privy to. The Indian American community is actually the second largest immigrant group in 21 states, including Indiana. So the fact that the community is prevalent is significant. I think this data will spread in time. But the fact that there's a pocket of the Sikh community that is predominant in that region, and the fact that there's a significant population at that FedEx facility. I mean, I did not even know that the FedEx facility had a lot of Punjabi Sikhs working there. So it is obviously heartbreaking to hear that these folks were involved in the shooting, and certainly our sympathies go to all the families affected, because we don't want to see anyone lose their lives just trying to put food on the table.
Yeah, 8 families lost loved ones, but it has to have a major impact on the Sikh community, having 4 people lost just within that tight-knit community.
Oh, no question about it. Again, especially in smaller towns, as I've learned, Indianapolis is actually a major city, but there are pockets of Indian Americans all over America. I've met folks from Columbus, Ohio, to anywhere in pockets in Oklahoma, as well as Tennessee and Central Florida. Surprisingly, there is a growing community all over this country, different faiths, different backgrounds, because India itself is super diverse. South Asia is very, very diverse, all these different faiths, different languages. So there's no question, though, the commonality of being from South Asia. And again, many of these folks have immigrated here over the last few decades. It's very heart-rending to see that this is part of the American experience now, is that they do have to be careful because these things do happen.
Mm-hmm. How difficult is it to see this on the heels of what happened in Atlanta?
I mean, there's no question. I mean, if you want to have a broader impact on the Asian American community, there's no question that Asian Americans, and I've been a long time member of the Asian American Journalists Association, where so many of us reporting have seen folks in our communities being impacted. San Francisco has been hard hit by just indiscriminate crime of people pushing over a grandma, defenseless 80-year-old grandma getting pushed over, and things happening in New York City. And I have a lot of my friends covering stories in the front line, and it's heartbreaking, especially when they know that could be a relative. And so, the Asian American community at large is feeling terrible. And so certainly we've seen, unfortunately, a spate of hate crimes against Asian Americans and South Asians as well. I mean, this is not an isolated issue, even though this has not been designated yet as a hate crime. Certainly, the Sikh community, many of the folks do feel targeted, and this is not isolated. We had Srinivas Kuchibhotla in Kansas, who was just an Indian engineer who was sitting at a bar and grill, and he was killed. We had a Indian American grandfather, Suresh Bhai Patel, in Alabama, who was paralyzed, partially paralyzed by a policeman who someone in the community thought he looked suspicious, and they tackled him, and he was partially paralyzed. So I think part of what the objective is at large that these community members want to do, and certainly from our standpoint as a TV channel, is we want to make sure that the broader American community knows that, hey, these are wonderful people. They have ancient traditions that go back hundreds, thousands of years, and they want to be part of the American experience. And hopefully, this is obviously a heartbreaking way to get to know some people in the Indianapolis community, but hopefully this will bring everyone closer together, and so you can have a broader shared experience.